In the time it takes to finish one stiff drink, my special guest Zachary Robbins and I will discuss all things comedy. We'll swap some stories about why and how humor has been important in our lives, and we'll find out once and for all if one stiff drink makes you better at mixology. So stay tuned for this episode of the Boondock Perspective.
Where class is optional.
It's yet another carefree day in Maine, and you're listening to the Boondock Perspective, the show that not only loves unique viewpoints, but fully embraces them. Here with me this week to chat, laugh, and imbibe is Zachary Robbins, 30-year performance veteran, co-founder of the sketch comedy group Her Majesty's Cabaret, and, as his Instagram profile states, artist-ish, activist-ish, decent musician, adequate DJ, licensed marriage efficient, solid human, friend of dogs, and available for parties. Zach, welcome to the show. You are pulling out alcohol.
No, I'm not. It's not booze.
Does it say that? Not alcohol?
It is not booze.
This is a toddler-friendly show, my friend.
It is. I even brought a spout so we could seem professional. This is how I pay for my bills, but
You surprised me with that, and I wasn't sure if you were in the camera frame. For those listening on audio, this is available on video. You should watch it in the car when your kids are sleeping in the backseat on your way to Disneyland.
There we go.
That sounded fantastic.
It is fantastic. No, I know you make drinks, but I want it to be. Has anyone made you a drink?
No, usually I'm the mixologist.
Well, F that me.
And I pretty much just pour rum in the
well, that's cute.
mug.
No. Well, I am a bartender, so I might as well do my
Soy
thing.
sauce.
Soy sauce. Very
Soy sauce.
good.
Interesting. Yes.
Savory. No, I'm gonna make you something that I like with my own little spin, and my own little spin is a really nice way of saying I added a thing that I'm more than certain thousands of people have done. But I'm wearing one. I've washed my hands because I am serve safe.
That's cool. I'm a little bit of a germaphobe, so this works out.
Yes, and I put on this because I have a laceration on my finger.
Oh, excellent.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some ice, which I brought you my own ice. I made you. I didn't make it. I brought it from work. That's good for you. We're gonna get that up there.
I love chewing on ice.
Are you familiar with ice? Do you know how ice works?
I do. My dentist hates me.
All right. So we got our ice. Good job, everybody. Everybody did ice. All right. Do you know? Have you ever bartended?
No, not once in my life. My only waiter gig was pretty much, all right, pay at the front. And,
You're better than
about
half of the people. All right. So if you ever bartend and you want to practice with the snot booze, you do 3 count is about 2-ish ounces of alcohol. 2 ounces is pretty much your standard shot. Depending on how much you like somebody, you can go Mississippi's or Steamboats, whichever you want. I like you, so we'll go 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Yay!
4 Mississippi.
All right, we'll go 4.
No, that was 4.
Too late. Too late.
Oh, man.
This isn't retail. I can do what I want. I'm gonna maybe not go that heavy, but I will do that. All right, so we got a little boy.
Do a switch around.
Oh no, the ioccane's in both. All right, then we do. Let's do a little of the old ginger beer. I like this ginger beer. It's very bitey. It's very strong. I actually will serve this to people that aren't drinking because it feels like alcohol. I'm gonna take a.
Oh, you hear that fizz?
Ooh. I got a little fresh lime juice there. I'm gonna do that right there. And
looks
we're gonna
delicious. Did you crush that on the way here?
I did.
Were you just sitting on it in the ride over?
Well, as of the rest of my life, I'm totally crushing it. So then we're gonna do a little bit of the old bitters. Little blop blop, little blop blop. There we go.
Let's taste what this. What's bitters? He spilled some on the table, so I'm gonna taste it on its own.
Bitters is a super concentrated.
Oh my god, that's incredible.
High proof alcohol.
Can I just drink bitters?
Yeah, man. It's super boozy. It's a lot of gentian root, which is the same thing that's in moxie. And other herbs. It is added to a lot of good things. Give it a little kick. I put it in this because I like to put it on everything. And then just a tiny, hold on. You got to get that for your shot. A little wheel. Just a little wheel. And I know that the black glove totally makes it look like I'm now going to give you a tattoo.
Here, have this beverage. Who's Stacy? All right, so are we cheersing this together?
We are
Really
cheersing
figuring
this
out?
together because we're together. I'm gonna keep the glove on. I think it gives me a street
Yeah,
cred.
it gives you like a real sense of authority. Like people need to listen to you.
One glove. Cheers. Salute.
Cheers. Wow, that was the like most upsetting. Let's do that one more time.
I won't break it. Cheers.
I want to be quiet. I want. That's the, like the least glassy. Oh fuck. Yeah. All right. Yeah. That's a drink right. Yeah. That's pretty tasty, my friend.
For those watching at home, that is Kentucky Mule with some bitters in it. And much like comedy and other things in life, it's all the little tricks that other people have done. But as long as you put your own spin on it, it's original.
And this one right here, this has a fresh strawberry that was picked last year.
This has a fresh lime from Hannaford that I got when I was grocery shopping before I picked my wife up to come here. Everything else is from the bog.
It's very good. I mean, we may have to do a double down option at the halfway point.
Well, we do. I mean, I have that pour spout on now. That's dangerous. And I hope you know.
Does that just stay on there now? Is it just permanently locked in
I'll
there?
probably take it with me. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
I hope you should feel honored. I don't drink often anymore, so this is...
Oh, really? What's your rule? Like, for me, it's social. Like, if I go out with somebody, then I drink, but I try not to drink unless I am with a friend or family member.
Wow, that's a pretty good one.
It's expansive, but it's better than 3 rum and cokes at night when I get home from work, because that's what I was doing. There's a lot of calories in that, and it's kind of a depressing lifestyle.
You know what has no calories? Weed.
No, I sound like I baked up on the way over here, but no, I just have mononucleosis.
Oh, it's perfectly fine. Eat it. It's way better too. It's saving your lungs. Nah, I used to drink a lot. It's not good for my brain, man. And because I do bartend as, I mean, if you're a performance anywhere, you're a bartender or you're doing 9 other jobs that I have. I'll taste alcohol. I'll drink on occasions. I like, births, deaths, weddings, holidays. We'll probably drink after like a really good show. I used to drink a lot, but again, it's not good for my brain. I was diagnosed with a mental illness, and drinking a lot is not good for it, especially when you're taking medication to not be crazy.
It's not even good with ibuprofen. I can't imagine it's good with any other kind of pharmaceutical.
It's great with ibuprofen. Speeds it up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
it's like, did you ever have those dudes in high school?
I feel like I need to put like a little disclaimer on the bottom screen, like, do not try this at home.
Oh, don't try it at home. However, I don't know. Well, you're from the sticks, and Bangor at large is the sticks. I mean, Maine is just a gigantic stick.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever have like blood donation day?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever?
I never
know
did one
the guys
of those back home. Yeah.
Oh,
I do them now, but I never did one back home.
Well, there used to be. I never did this. I was a goody until I really got to college. But there would be dudes you could get signed out of class. So you get your last class you get signed out of. They would give blood, and then they would all leave. And they, like 4 guys would split a beer, and they would get hammered.
There's one time where I was in honor society, and we like volunteered for the blood donation, and we were in charge of making sure people had cookies and increase their blood sugar before they walked out. And I've seen like 7 people faint. Your blood sugar is very low. What is it, an eighth of your blood? Like that's a pretty large chunk. Mm-hmm. So an eighth or a sixth or something like that. I don't remember what the actual donation is. But before we continue, I gave a really, really extensive introduction for you. I've never given one that big for you. But
I feel welcomed, by the way.
In part, it's because I just had to read off your own profile.
Yeah, because I couldn't think of anything other than I'm here, I'm doing stuff. I try to be a good boy.
So here's what I'm going to do. In order to find out whether or not one stiff drink makes you better at mixology, which I feel like you are a veteran at this and are going to pass my test because I Googled it about 10 minutes before you showed up. I have a list of 4 drinks.
Okay.
And for this first segment, what we're going to do is I'm going to list the ingredients, and you are going to tell me what the drink is.
All right.
All right, so we're going to do this 4 times.
Okay.
You ready? Start with an easy one. Chewing my ice. It's a bad idea to put ice in this, man.
No, it's not. It's great.
Oh, God, I chew so much ice.
Chew the ice. Who gives a shit? It's
ready?
real. It's reality.
Coffee liqueur, vodka, and cream.
Coffee liqueur, vodka, and and cream.
Cream.
That's either a mudslide or a B52.
Yeah. Okay. I have White Russian, but mudslide and White Russian are extraordinarily similar, right?
They are. They're like a step difference.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go. Sugar, bitters, whiskey, and citrus rind.
Sugar, bitters, citrus rind,
and whiskey.
These
are recipes based off of Wikipedia.
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 Um,
So I don't know how to make any of these drinks. So you can prove me wrong if I'm wrong.
Is it basically an old fashioned?
That's an old fashioned. There you go. Two for four. All right. Let's go with. Let's go with a hard. I'll go with another medium one and then a hard one. Or what I think is going to be hard.
Medium hard.
Vodka, triple sec, cranberry juice, and
Cosmo.
lime juice. That's a Cosmo. There you go. You got my medium one.
Yeah, that's one of 5 drinks that has just been reduced down to Becky.
Right. Tequila, orange juice, grenadine, maraschino, cherry, umbrella.
A tequila sunrise or just a mistake.
There you go. 4 for 4.
It's a mistake. It's a mistake. Tequila tastes like fist fight to me.
I went on a cruise before recording this, and we did 7 days. You buy the drink package, it's $52 a day. Next thing you know, so I'm trying to hit 15 drinks a day. You know what I mean? And
it's ill-advised.
They had something called a kiss on the lips. Well, I don't know what was in it. I never really asked, but like no alcohol. I mean, it looked like a lot of alcohol, but it wasn't. And my tactic was 2 margaritas for a buzz, kiss on the lips to maintain. If I drink another margarita, so I basically just drank tequila for 7 days. And it was incredible. Yeah. Now
you got the diabetes. Now you got the diabetes.
Now I got the diabetes, and my mononucleosis is way worse.
I feel like this actually
just scratching your beard.
Scratching the beard, and I feel either I can't tell if I feel cool or evil or both.
Well, the black love is adding to it.
This is so weird, especially that we're talking so much about alcohol.
Let's talk comedy. You have a long track record. Classic comedy right there. You say you've been performing for 30 years.
Yeah.
You don't look like you're 5 years over 30.
I'm 5.5 years over 30. Come Christmas.
All right.
Christmas Eve's my half birthday.
So for 30 years of performing, I assume some of that was like middle school plays, high school plays, performance for like family members.
My first real, I mean, if you want to be technical, like the first time I ever performed or like acted on stage, I was 3.
Doing what?
Or I wasn't even on stage. I was in a commercial. So my dad used to do marketing, advertising in the area. Like I was 3. I want to say 3 or 4, but I was in a commercial for. It wasn't Naps Music. There was a music shop down on Main Street, and I'm blanking on it right now. But he just like pointed a camera, he gave me some lines, and I like played some drums, and then I strummed a guitar, and then I said some sort of kitschy line, and then boom, that was the first time I'd ever like performed in a, I guess, air quote, professional capacity. He did pay me, which was nice. I got $20, and $20 in like 1988 to a 4-year-old. Holy shit!
Oh yeah,
and I got a taste for it. A little something sweet out of it. And then
for money,
the money,
it's all about the money.
Sweet Mulan. No, the first show I did was Christmas Carol, and it was at the Dowdy School. I want to say it was Bangor, the Bangor Theater Company or Bangor Community Theater. I can't remember. Rich Kimball played either Marley or Bob Cratchit. My dad was in that. A bunch of people that are in the area now, and I played Tiny Tim. I also, no one's surprised, I played Tiny Tim 5 times. The last time I was 12. I'm not a tall fella.
You're not a tall fella.
For those of you listening, I do not sound this tall.
Well, you have a character that's named Little Timmy that I've seen in full.
Little Timmy.
Little Timmy.
Little Timmy.
Can you give me a little piece of that voice?
Hey, Professor! I just drank a lot of boric nitrate. I ain't feeling so hot.
For those who don't understand the reference, who I guarantee is nobody that's watching my stuff. I had the opportunity of working for Her Majesty's Cabaret and coming on in a larger capacity because of this project.
Completely
I worked on.
blind, by the way. We just yanked you in.
Yeah, I walked in, no script, no anything, and ended up recording this really funny 7-8 minute 1950s inspired educational film, and it's all about science, and It's hilarious. I'll put a link somewhere in the description. Go check it out. It's very, very funny. Science and you. What you need to know about, the world around you.
Everything with my wife, Emily Burnham, and then Brad LeBrie, who I watched his to make sure I cover bases about comedy he didn't. And by didn't, I mean either forgot or just isn't as good as me.
Well, if he ends up listening to this, I need to apologize to him, but I haven't done it in person yet because I, too, watched it in preparation for this, and I caught a mistake where he requested I remove something from it, and I thought I did, but it did not.
Oh.
It happens a lot in podcast forums and interview forums where you just get off track. And you realize you're not talking about what the question was anymore.
Wait, we're on track right now?
And that's yeah. Well, that's the thing is I redesigned it so there's no longer a track, right? But first season there was a track mind, and we came off of it. He requested he was like, "Can I start over?" I was like, "Yeah." And then I reset the question, and I never deleted it. So we both just sounded like bumbling fools for a good 5-minute period. So I apologize, Brad, and hopefully you and Kat Johnson, who was on last week, no longer, or don't hate me for it, and have faith that I did not do that to them.
Ethan, I don't hate you, and Brad and Kat, who I will see tomorrow for rehearsal, I make no apology for anything at any time whatsoever. You have my wrath coming to you. Not at all. They're awesome. They're great. I'm a better person for knowing them.
No, I love them. So you said you watched the podcast with Brad. You say he missed on some stuff.
I was just being a dick.
If you're going to rattle off one thing that he missed, what would it be?
I don't know. You backed me. You just painted me into a corner.
There you go, Brad.
I was just shitting on him. Really.
I just made up for not being a good friend.
Yeah, Brad, I love you and you're great, and you're half the reason I'm able to do the things I do now as an adult. So I was just jabbing you, man. Sorry. I mean, there's plenty of things we agree and disagree on, but he is the yin to my yang. I love that man.
Go check out Brad LeBrie's podcast.
He's a cheap son of a bitch, but god damn it, he's funny. And he's kind and he's sweet.
I love working with him. So if you started acting on stage at 3 and you ended up, you were regularly performing by 12, who were your early inspirations? Were there movies, actors, comedians that stuck out to you, specifically in the 1980s?
Well, in the not necessarily the 80s, I grew up on old TV and old movies. So I liked bigger personalities, plus my older brothers are much older than myself. I'm the youngest by a decade. It goes, my middle brother is 10 years older than me, and then my oldest brother is 12 years older than me. So, and I was left in their care a lot, and they didn't censor anything or whatever. I saw things I really probably shouldn't have seen at such a young age. I don't mean abuse, by the way. I just mean in media. Apologies. Chris and Micah were...
They used to beat the shit out of me.
No, there was no abuse by today's standards. But no, I remember it was just a hodgepodge of stuff because I loved Danny Kaye. I loved George Carlin. And I know that's something maybe a 6-year-old shouldn't know about.
Yeah, 6-year-old probably shouldn't know about the words you can't say on TV.
The Twilight Zone was so formative in every aspect of art for me. Let's see. Any movie you could think of where it was big and stupid and foolish. And I liked, because my dad was a performer and my mom is an artist, and I mean she still is, but was an art teacher. So anything that I got to see things that inspired me, not necessarily performers, but even the way directors worked, the way Spielberg would layer a shot kind of informed how I acted. Like E.T., just the way it's colored. Just somehow informs how you perform in a scene and the setting of such. Let's see. Yeah, Carlin was big. I probably shouldn't have known about Bill Hicks when I was 7 years old, but it really explains a lot. Probably the hair right now that I have that I've been growing out. And it was all comedy in our house. Always comedy, and a lot of it just came out of, late 80s, early 90s for a kid was. It was such over senses overload because you had everything was Pee-wee's Playhouse. You had Weird Al's television show, Beakman's World. You had all these crazy, somewhat subversive television shows for children on.
Yeah.
And Nickelodeon was coming into its prime.
Yeah, blamed for a lot of ADHD in the 2000s.
Yeah. And then MTV was MTV animation was coming up in my formative years, and like Eon Flux, Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah. Oh
and,
man, Beavis.
And I was really coming up as sarcasm was starting to just completely take hold of everything, and I'm so thankful for that.
It's funny that I'm looking back and I'm thinking, movies. I mean, even Caddyshack, it blurred the lines between comedy and just like political and things that were going on in the political climate at the time. Specifically around like marijuana and like violence, and in just this really really small way, violence for the sake of being funny. Eating poop. It's probably the first time that was ever on camera. You know what I mean? Like, it broke ground on so many small things.
This is a person that has informed many conversations. Part of my relationship with my wife is John Waters. And if you are not familiar with the film Pink Flamingos, you need to see it because Divine, who is this wonderful... I'm sorry, I pointed at you. That's very...
I dare you. I feel offended.
This is my impression of every Harrison Ford scene. Now, look! Okay. Divine actually ate shit on camera.
What?
The real shit. Yeah, Pink Flamingos, John Waters.
What?
Every John Waters film is brilliant for some reason. Watch that. It's real.
He ate real crap.
He ate the poop.
Eat that, 2 girls, 1 cup.
Yeah.
That was an ice
It
cream
was
machine. The progeny
right there.
Wow.
But comedy wise,
I think of the 80s, like I was saying, is there was a line, I think, where you're right, sarcasm started to come into play. And I don't think about movies before the 80s, maybe 85, about being sarcastic and like really introducing it.
But that's been around forever. Like sarcasm and cynicism.
Oh, that's true. I'm thinking of Blazing Saddles now, and I'm seeing a lot of it.
The entire oeuvre of Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks was huge in our house. I've seen History of the World Part 1 so many goddamn times. And it lends to just also in my family because some of my comedic inspirations or people I just sort of glean something from. One of the funniest people I know on the planet is my older brother Chris.
Oh yeah, that's how it usually works.
Yeah, he's whip smart. Our entire family, like my dad will even say too, and my mother, God love her, patience of the saint, will put up with it. My dad's favorite thing is for all the boys and their wives and the nephews to be around. Yes,
you just squeaked your rubber glove.
Sorry. To sit around the table and shit on him and roast. We roast and jive each other so hard, and it gets so vague and surreal and just coming out of like the most left-handed side of things to mock somebody instead of just saying they're fat or stupid any of that, because that stuff's easy.
Yeah. Imagine saying grace instead of saying grace. You just start roasting the family. Like, all right, let's all hold hands and roast.
There's no that doesn't even begin. I think we said grace a couple times growing up when Thanksgiving was at somebody else's house.
Yeah.
We're all happy to be there and alive. That's our grace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. So if those are your early influences, I assume you still take influence by the same people now, but is there like 1 or 2 people that like really stand out whenever they post something or they release a new special or they come out in a new movie? You're just like, I need to go to the theater and watch this. Like, I swear to God, in this capitalistic society, I'm going to go support what this man is doing. You know what I mean?
I will watch anything John Mulaney is attached to.
Okay, yeah. Big Mouth is
I will watch anything Louis Black has to say.
Mm-hmm.
I love Wanda Sykes because I specifically like Wanda Sykes because she has an act and she builds on it like every stand-up does, but she just speaks. That just makes me happy. She just speaks truth to power. She's just honest. It never gets bizarre. It's just so straightforward, and it's a perspective that I like. If you're listening and not watching, if you can't tell, I am not a middle-aged black woman. I just want to be clear, and I don't pretend to be. And so that's something I don't really know about.
Yeah.
It's I like to be informed by others. And then
she's such a big personality. I mean, she's got big hair, big vocal, big linguistics. You know what I mean?
She's big linguistics.
She's just big.
But she didn't do it till later in life. I really enjoy now people that are really getting into things. Like she didn't start doing comedy until like I think her late 30s, mid-late 30s or something like that. And I've watched a couple, I think I've watched all her specials and a bunch of interviews, and she's just a real human being and binds the humor from that. And I tend to be bizarre in the things I find funny or the scenarios I create in my head, but a lot of humor and a lot of comedy comes out of this deep, deep welling of empathy that is nature, is nurture. It's how I was raised. It's because of my screwed up brain chemistry. It's the company I keep. It's so deeply rooted in humanity and not punching down that there are times when I'll watch a comedy special and I'll cry. I'll admit it.
A comedy special make you cry.
Yeah,
That's gorgeous. I've never heard anybody else say that because I have had so many points in time where I've listened to a comedy special, and even though I am laughing, I just understand it on such a deep level that it's like somebody was able to figure out how to put this emotion I felt for years into words, and I feel less alone. And it's just like a single tear will come out.
You just said it best. And it's not the laughing so hard you're crying. It's just that ultimate connection and yeah. Oh, I'm definitely a cry at movies guy.
Super.
And if emotion takes me, like I will tell you something that is the greatest therapy you can have, especially nowadays, is I will watch Queer Eye with my wife, and we will just strap in just because we know we're going to cry. Because 5 fantastic human beings are making somebody who is very unfabulous very fabulous. But you gave me the whirly sign, so we got like 5.
Well, the whirly sign means you got 5 minutes, and we just got to find a way to end the podcast a little close so I can give a sponsor break. But I guess we'll do it now that we have the most unnatural segue in the world.
That's not no. This is a natural segue. Hey, we're running out of time. We got to do this thing. They know what's going on. Don't play into their hand. Give them the real deal, man.
Listen, Tippies. All right. We got to do a sponsorship. I need some cash. I need some flow. You need a sponsorship? You got an event that needs sponsoring? You come to me. Season 3 coming out next year. In the meantime, watch this. Hey, this is Ethan Levesque, your host of the Boondock Perspective. I just wanted to take this minute to thank you for watching Season 2. Your support through this season has been incredible, and I am so excited to produce Season 3 next year. The guest list is already looking fantastic. The theme for this sponsorship is Show Some Love. Before getting back to the discussion with Zach, I have 3 plugs. First is that this show would literally not be possible without the support and work from my audio engineer, Tyler Brooks of Brooks Sound. This awesome guy spends hours a week mixing and mastering to make sure your sound quality is the best. If you need any audio, music, or general recording, mixing, and mastering, I'll connect you. Second plug. On this show, you've heard me talk a lot about my other productions. For example, my 45-minute action thriller Indemnity, my 7-episode mockumentary web series Loon Echo, and my full-length documentary currently in production, Maine Up to Spain, about my personal weight loss journey. If you really like the Boondock Perspective and want to show support in a larger form, please contact me via the Facebook page Messenger platform and order the DVDs of those productions. All proceeds go to funding for the Northern Oak Media Productions, and that includes this podcast. Lastly, show some love to the Boondock Perspective by going through any clips and sharing your favorite moments with your friends and on your Facebook timeline. Season 3 is going to be a beautiful work, and I want as many people as possible to see it. Thanks again for listening and watching at home. I can't wait to show you what's in store. I'll see you next year.
You just said a funny thing.
Yes,
You're hilarious, Ethan.
I'm thinking about in Season 3 featuring a double down feature in alcohol, and I'm not exactly all the way through this drink, but it is the halfway point. How would you feel about pouring one more shot in this thing?
I'll pour a shot for you. I topped mine up with ginger beer. I'm just going to let it
Did you?
run out.
All right, yeah, that's the way to do it.
All right, it's getting a little cold outside, so...
Let's fill it out, yeah. That's plenty! I got to drive to somewhere tonight, probably, maybe not.
As long as you have a glass of water, you'll be fine. Eat something.
Maybe like a little more ginger beer, because that's just straight up whiskey at this point.
Attaboy.
But yeah, I'll just make sure. I'll make sure this is gone by the time we finish this. Oh boy, you guys should see this drink. What do you call this?
It's just it's a Tennessee Kentucky Mule. It's Mule. Just Mule. Just a general amount of Mule.
Okay, so there is this very large conversation happening around comedy, and it's probably been happening around comedy for a very long time. I'll take a little stir too, if you don't mind.
Okay.
It's been happening around comedy for a long time, and that is that first of all, comedy is subjective. And secondly, that how do you operate comedy without offending anybody? And the real answer is probably it's never going to happen, in my opinion. But where do you stand on subjective comedy and never offending at people? You know, you have to operate with a certain guideline. You know, where do you fall?
Well, I think there's a big amount of volume from two different sides. I think it all just comes down to tact and intelligence, because all comedy is inherently cruel, but also all comedy comes from a good comedy, at least for me, comes from a place of empathy and relation, or at the very least presenting a perspective of like, I don't know about this, clue me in. Or it's tact, really, because I'll hear, you hear somebody on a vaguely Rogan-esque podcast or anybody just being like, oh, well, you can't, comedy's over, man. You can't, everybody's offended. It's like, no, dipshit. It's like, there's a constitution for comedy. They're called amendments because you change them. It's much like, guess what? We now know owning a person was bad. That's why you don't get to own people anymore, because that was not a good thing to do. That's right. I'm going to make a stand right now. I'm anti-slavery. Call me old-fashioned. Call me woke. No, but it's, for instance, the guy that was about to be on SNL, and then he got booted. I can't remember his name.
I don't recall this.
Okay, so this happened a couple months ago before the season started. There was going to be a new cast member, and then footage of him on his, oddly enough, a podcast leaked. And I'll tell you the subject matter in a second, but what the whole thing fell out to was there became two camps, and one was the whole like, oh, you can't joke around anymore, you can't be funny, let's just bust in balls, you got to do it. And then the other side of people being super stern of just like, you can't say anything. What happened was you can make fun of anything, make fun of anyone, as long as you do it intelligently, as long as you're not in essence,
I'd say provoking a problem.
Provoking a problem from the wrong source.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, don't. Again, there's a great quote that I've always loved. It's just assholes punch down. Like and the reason this guy got booted from SNL, and rightfully so. First of all, SNL did not do their research enough, and he's just doing like the really classic Asian-y voice, but not. He's just flat out making fun of Asian people, and he was doing the classic like big tooth thing. I'm not gonna do it. I'm probably.
Yeah,
but
he was just using well-known stereotypes.
Yeah, to
be funny, but he was doing
like
it
he
in
would
one of
have
the most
killed in like the Poconos in like 48. He would have been great. But it's the damnedest thing. Every day that we're alive, we learn that somebody who's just a person or a group of people that are just trying to live their lives are like, hey, can you not make fun of us because we are a certain way? And then people are like, oh, well, I guess we can't do that now. It's like, yeah, no, shit, you can't do that. Or you can. But that's your First Amendment. That's your freedom of speech. People forget that there's freedom of consequence.
That's a really good phrase. I want that on a T-shirt.
Yeah,
freedom of speech also means freedom of consequence.
Yeah, you're not free of consequence. If you're gonna say something fucking stupid, prepare to take the flak. I have said some boneheaded shit in my life. I own up to it, and I try to be conscious of what I'm doing. I try to keep anything that I personally am jiving with somebody about surface, or just basically. Sorry, I'm like went mid thought. This is why I don't drink during a podcast. It is very easy to still be funny. That is when the beauty of the abstract and the surreal comes into play, because that will always be funny if you do it right. If you just basically take a subject and turn it on its head. If you find a new way or a new piece of information or a piece of a puzzle that somebody hasn't played with yet, all of those are open to you, and trial and error. It's also, I've done this before where it's like, I have this joke. I think it's funny. And now I maybe have gone through a checklist of like, okay, is this is this an asshole thing to say? Am I just saying something, like pejorative or anything just to get a laugh, like a Or am I actually saying something good with this? Or is it making some sort of observation that I find interesting and funny, but is this going to be detrimental to somebody else as a person? And that's why I so very rarely, if ever, do stand up anymore. And it's not because I don't think I can be funny. It's just it's a different format. And
Such a fine line
I
to
can
walk.
host a
line
show.
to walk.
Dude, the last time I did actual straight up stand up comedy was so weird. I have not watched it since. I didn't offend anybody because there was like nobody in the room to offend. all 6 of the comics and my wife. Be that as it may, I'll ask somebody, should I say this? Is this funny? Am I just saying something is this, or is this just stupid? Is this like antagonistic for no reason whatsoever? And if the person's just like, hey, that's funny, you should do that. And I always ask people that I find funny. And there are people in my life and friends who have severe stage fright. They do not want to be in front of people saying things. They would never want to read anything they've written personally, like just, witty, brilliant friends that are so talented that I respect their opinion on that, because if you ask somebody who you respect their sense of humor, just as a person, just you respect them and how they present humor, because we all have somebody in our life who is, you're like, oh, you should be a comedian. It's like they don't want to be in front of people. They just, on the one-on-one basis, so they're talking, they like to make a person laugh. That's a noble cause. It doesn't matter if you get on stage and do it, or write it down, do a podcast, or you're just being nice to somebody at the friggin' bank. If you're going to have that empathetic connection, that's all that matters. And people that can then refine that and make it interesting in front of people, especially for money, then rock and roll. But to your greater point of the beginning, it is not hard to be funny. You just have to be more creative. You actually have to put some work into it. Hey, we've done this thing the same way for 45 years. What? Now we can't do it? Yeah, well, asbestos was in houses for like 70 years. Fucking lead was in paint for like almost majority of a century. And, well, guess what? You can't do that. It's not good for you. So you find ways of being funny. You might fail, but if your heart's in the right place, rock and roll. And that's a big thing that I've really... it doesn't offend me. I should say take issue, perhaps. Really, it's fucking lazy, honestly. It's just lazy when people are just like, oh, well, I can't say that anymore. It's like, yeah, no, dipshit, you can't.
Or you can't, like, I have one of my favorite things is listening to Bill Burr, where he, obviously Bill Burr.
I do.
And you listen to him and he says things and you're like, God, are you just an asshole? And I believe you, which makes me an asshole? Or are you speaking truth in the only way that I'm capable of understanding? And because he has so many things where he says, there's a dog chewing on a chew toy. For everyone here, including Tyler Brooks, my music engineer and audio engineer, is loving this.
He's a good dog.
Hey, buddy. All right.
Hey, bro, come here.
Bill Burr talks, and he makes so many really, really great points about, and they're on the line of these really difficult political lines.
Yeah.
Where he talks about, feminism, and he talks about, the Me Too movement, and he talks about all these crazy things that, like, people really don't get away with talking about anymore. And he does, and he has an audience, but there's this line of, like, you're only saying it because you're speaking on the behalf of all comedians.
But he says, not?
But he says, you can't do this anymore, but then he goes and makes a joke. And the reason why he's succeeding in his career right now, I think, is because he's making a joke about not being able to say things about the jokes he wants to say. So he's just kind of like turning it on its head and then turning it back on its head. He's like rotating it 90 degrees and then upright another 180 so it looks like the same image, but he's doing it through a filter, like just some strange algorithm. And he's...
Yeah, everybody has been playing the same song, and it's funny. He talks about recently he's learned how to fly a helicopter, but he's been a drummer for a while, and a lot of comics are generally fairly multi-talented, and like Mel Brooks was a drummer, Bill Burr's a drummer. A lot of comics can play an instrument, or can sing, or can do more than just stand up, and a lot of them, someone won't talk about it.
Do you think that's a disciplinary thing?
I
Just
think
being
it's,
able to have discipline.
No, I think it's expression and it's harnessing your ADD, for lack of a better word. But beside the point, well, if you pull out enough on any subject, everything is gray. Everything is the middle. And it's kind of happening right now politically in this country too. And I mean, I'm not even talking about the president or anything like that. I just mean the dynamics of interacting with other human beings via social media, interpersonal, widespread, anything. There's so much mixed and in the middle that people are now. I hate to sound like guys like, well, it's not all black and white. Yeah, well, now it's really coming to that where now people that have been lost in that mix are actually getting a say. And that's good. It's like food. If you're just having chicken with salt and pepper every goddamn day, you're going to get fucking sick of it and you might get a little crazy. And as Americans, we have access to firearms and that never goes well. It's like cooking. You need more spice. You need more ingredients. You need a better flavor. And the more people that now come out and take issue with certain things, first of all, that's their right. They're totally free to be offended by something. That is perfectly fine. It's then up to the next people to say, in their opinion, well, why are you offended? Instead of just being like, oh, fuck you, you're offended, deal with it. Well, why were you offended? Because there's also people that I have offended in comedy that I do not give two shits that I offended them because they, as people, stand in direct opposition to the basic, again, as we talked about, shared empathy of things. Only assholes punch down. If someone is somewhat mean-spirited to begin with, they are self-serving, they are selfish, or they're just out for themselves, and that carries over into the way they interact with people, how they may govern other people, then fuck you. I don't care. I'm going to say this, but it's not hard to be funny if you know what you're doing. There's going to be trial and error. You are going to offend somebody. Somebody may have a royal stick up their ass that will find offense anywhere you do. There's a saying we have at the bar that
educate me, learn me, Zach.
Okay, no, it's bar, but it's also it's how I really sort of feel things because I'm an incredibly liberal person. I'm part of the LGBTQ community, so I need to get that out there. I grew up in a fucking union household, so I have to get that part out there so I can say a couple of things. First of all, this is the big one that we always say. Ultra left, blue stater, super conservative, pro-business, red stater. They both tip for shit. Neither of them can tip. They are so up their own asshole. They're not funny. They will find some sort of offense to be taken. And from wherever they're coming from, it's so not a part of reality. So I keep that in mind whenever I see, because I have friends and people that I completely politically and morally agree with on 99% of things. And I have no desire to sit and listen to them for more than 30 seconds just because they're so grating to be in a room with that it just gnaws at you that someone can be that fucking boring.
That's so rough.
It's so boring. That's why I love
so many friends of mine that are like that. And I call them friends, but really they're like weak acquaintances. But it's like, at some point, when are you taking a stand for the sake of taking a stand?
Yeah, is this your Stonewall? Is what we always say. And it's true. Because there is also a degree where you yourself, and I'm not saying this is a blanket statement, because I mean, I'm a white American male. This was all designed for me, so I try to stand back from that because I have inherent Catholic guilt and assume I've done wrong constantly. That if I'm not nice or good to everybody, I'm screwing over the planet. And if I don't do my best to just at least try to make things better, then I failed. And I don't think that necessarily makes me a better person. That's just how I operate. And I have to remember that when I am either too hard on myself for something, or I feel somebody might be like really over investigating things I've said. So I have to keep that in mind. There, again, people are going to take offense to what you say comedically, no matter who they are. Somebody's going to. Somebody's going to take offense with what you say.
And you see it every day.
And you see it every day. There is, I mean, we could go down a rabbit hole, but this is also being recorded. I think, again, as long as there's goodness in your heart and you're going after the right tower, comedy is speaking truth to power. And if you're going after people that are powerless, or you're going after people that have hardships and lack of opportunity or no opportunity whatsoever because of a system that may have failed them, then that's lazy. That's stupid. And if someone takes offense to that, you made a joke about someone like that, then yeah, they're right. That was a dumbass thing to say. But if you're going, it's all about what's the subject of the joke. And if you can make yourself or the inherent conflict you have, the self, the butt of the joke, then I think you're free to do a lot more. And I think it's also going to make you a smarter just person.
Are you talking self-depreciation, or are you talking
I'm
like...
deprecating as shit.
Dude, so many times during the day, I'll just be like, you know, I'm so self-deprecating.
Be self-effacing.
And
it's great.
It's one of the purest forms of comedy.
It's a sign of intellect, honestly. No.
Well, thank you, sir.
Anybody that's smart generally hates themselves.
Dude, fuck me. Fuck me, dude. I suck. So I went on a cruise, right? And all I'm thinking is, I am the most white, privileged, millennial piece of human garbage that is in this fucking country of Jamaica. I have seen a different world. How dare me for complaining about shit? So then for like the rest of the week, I'm just like, my bath water won't get warm. Dude, fuck me. I'm on a boat. I'm on a boat with Wi-Fi.
You're on a boat with Wi-Fi, and alcohol comes out of the goddamn wall.
So then whenever anybody complained, I'm like, well, you know, I'm a millennial, white, privileged piece of shit. You know, and it's like, that's not necessarily the self-depreciation I'm talking about, but it's just like, I had this self-awareness all of a sudden where I was like, holy shit, like, I'm not a good person in comparison. Or I'm really taking advantage of something I don't understand. And then in my daily life, I relate it back to, you know, I have drinks for, let's say I go out with my girlfriend, and I'll be like, well, you know, I'm feeling fat today, so I'm going to be good. And there's that depreciation of self-esteem issue. But then I can go out and I can be like, well, you know, I can't run that far because I'm a fat piece of shit. It's like those are two different perspectives with having said the exact same thing. Self-esteem issue versus self-depreciation are not necessarily connected in each given moment.
Use your weakness as your strength. That's what, and that was a later, I always adhered to it. I haven't really, or at least I thought I adhered to it, but I haven't really, that hasn't really stuck with me until like maybe my late 20s, early 30s, because of my wife partner, Emily, wife partner Incorporated, and comedy really, or at least the performing, writing of, got a lot better for myself once I had writing with my wife and writing with Brad Labrie, and now Kat, who was on the show recently as well, because of perspectives and you were just actually talking about travel, which and you were saying that was a really good device or experience to kind of inspect yourself.
You just compare yourself to the rest of the world and realize that maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, maybe you're better, maybe you're worse, but you get this perspective change of, I've seen somebody else's circumstance. Yeah. And it's wokening. You done be woke. I done be woke.
I try to stay woke. Well, I'm paraphrasing Mark Twain because I suck at many quotes, but mostly, and this is, again, pardon me, it was basically travel is the cure for bigotry, intolerance, and small-mindedness. Again, that is a heavy paraphrase. Yeah. He said something witty. He also wrote a book where like every fifth word's the N-word, so who knows.
How can you be both sides of one coin? You know.
I don't know. But let me tell you a story about the South. Long time ago in Missouri. And I had very much the same too, because my wife and I, like, that's what we generally try to. This is what we spend most of our like time investing in is travel. Like,
Really?
The week before you left, we were in Spain.
Yeah, we've been trying to make this episode happen for a while. You were supposed to be
and
like
I'm
episode
really
4,
sorry
and we ended
that
up at number 10.
this is probably going to be I feel like it's going to be a B-, and it's all my fault.
You know, every single guest have said that. Maybe not the B- specific
yeah, but
quote,
I'm way cooler than like all your guests combined, and I am failing right now.
I don't think so, man. I wouldn't worry about it.
You have to travel, and because there's the other side of things that people always forget. It's like you need to see other people's hardships. You need to see people's struggle. You need to understand how other cultures or people view you. But there's another thing about traveling that I love, and it's seeing people that are way bigger assholes than you are.
Oh,
When you're with some, like, you're in a city or a setting where you're, like, at a restaurant, specifically like that, and, you know, I'm going to say this to the world at large. If you don't live in the United States and you are from abroad, maybe not Britain, and you inherently just hate Americans based on our politics or our military or anything, you're right. If you are going to look at me bad or treat me poorly when I'm in your country, I don't blame you.
I understand.
I get it. I expect it. But then, of course, you're always marveled by people just being nice because they think of things bigger than country or person. But I love traveling when you're sitting in a restaurant or a cafe or something, and, you know, people are being nice to you because, I mean, you're spending money and you're a tourist, and that's how some places make their money. That's how friggin' Maine stays in business. The amount of times I pretend to care about people for a living is amazing. And then you see someone be a genuine jackhole that is just a universal asshole. Like, not even like they
No
did
translation
like a
needed.
bad social like they were just a complete and utter shithead, and they're not American. And you're just sitting there, and I live for the moment of, I don't speak the same language as someone. I don't know who they are. I don't know their story. I know nothing about this person. But somebody acts like a giant asshole, and you just sort of look at them, and you get one of these. Like, you just connect with somebody immediately.
get the
just
eye
like,
roll,
can you believe this
shrug,
asshole?
lip
Yeah,
rise.
it transcends language. It transcends class. It transcends economic status. Just both seeing someone that is a bigger asshole than either of you and acknowledging, like, you know what? We're all the same. At least we're not. That's what I live for. Hey, at least we're not that asshole.
At the end of the day, every country, every government has assholes, and that's comforting.
Everybody is flawed. Everybody's a piece of shit. Everybody's trying. Just don't be evil.
Yeah, really, what it comes down to. We've got a few minutes left.
God, I hope I say something of substance before then.
One thing I'm wondering, and we've touched on it a little bit, and I was looking for a segue, and I think this is kind of it, of comedy is essential because of what it can do to the human emotion. Comedy and emotion, comedy and your well-being, they're so connected. Like, a sense of humor is better than any medication you can take. I mean, Robin Williams said it, so has millions of other people. You know what I mean? He's the one I remember. But I've had moments where I wanted to cry. I've had moments where I wanted to punch things. But I tell you, when I started embracing comedy and I started embracing laughter and self-depreciation and going out with my friends and valuing 5 minutes of just laughing about something that happened 10 years ago, as opposed to punching a punching bag or going home and, you know, punching my pillow and crying myself to sleep, I stopped punching my pillow and crying myself to sleep and punching a punching bag.
Yeah.
Comedy and humor became the focus because it heals everything. One good laugh where you can't breathe and when you can't comprehend anything that's going on and you can barely stand up is one of the most powerful decompressive tactics I have ever utilized.
I hope I die laughing. I hope I hope I'm in the middle of a deep gut laugh, because when I really, really laugh, it sounds pathetic. I don't have like a fun laugh. It is high pitched. It is one sound, and then there's a break in air, and then it's just like I have laughed. I've had laughter with you, but it's scientifically proven. If you laugh, you're going to feel better. It's tied into you're having a mild orgasm. You're having attachment to a moment of pure innocence. You're having it's all endorphins. It's all dopamine. It's everything wrapped up into one. Laughter is so good for you. It's not the best medicine. It's a good medicine. Real medicine. More people need real medicine. This is a thing that gets me, especially with comedy and everything. As somebody who has a mental illness and has to deal with it, if any of you post more pictures about telling me to go hiking, fuck you. Oh my God, so hard. Because I've gone hiking, I'm active, I run. If I don't take my medication, I feel like killing myself. And I tried once where I didn't take my medication and I went on a beautiful nature hike and I'm like, this is so gorgeous. I still want to die. So
I feel really terrible that all of my teeth are showing because I'm laughing right now.
No, it's
but
fine.
It's because I understand where you're coming from.
Dude,
it's that genuine empathetic connection that we were just talking about. Is like, I haven't been diagnosed with mental illness or anything, but I understand. Like, I consider myself an empath, and I've talked to several people, and I think I'm a hyper empathetic, right? And I just, for some reason, I'm able to understand everything you just said, and it's like.
Well, just basic empathy.
I almost just had a tear for you, man.
Oh, thanks. Well, no, it's something I've dealt with all my life. I'm not ashamed of it. It's fine. If anything, again, it's turning your weakness into strength.
Yeah.
It every day can be a struggle. It's not as bad. But there's two things before we get to the rappy-uppy thing. One thing that struck me and it made me laugh, I talked to Emily about it, platitudes and any sort of inspirational thing you see online that's tantamount to basically like, you're you, be you, and, just keep doing you until it's right. Dance like nobody's watching, like that. Evil, greedy shitheads read that too, right? So people that are already awful and they don't know they're
embraced.
awful, they're just like, you know what, I'm going to keep doing me. All right, yeah, fuck the poor.
I'm gonna keep not donating.
Yeah, I'm gonna participate in an economy that's made up. Fuck that guy. But really, in the end of it all, it's kindness. You just got to be kind, and comedy has a really great way of deflating anything that a false sense of power or control. Mel Brooks kind of did it best, and it's. Versions of it have happened since then. But how do you take away the pain and the giant scar on humanity that was the Nazis and the Holocaust? You make a musical about Hitler, and you just make him foolish, and you dance around and make this absolute huge monster of a subhuman that ever had power, and just reduce him to what he was, which was just a foolish little asshole that too many people listen to. Mm-hmm. That's brilliant. That to me is brilliant. That's why satire, that's why everything needs to happen. And again, a lot of people say like late night's too political. I'm sick of people, why do we have to keep making fun of this? Well, because if we don't, real bad shit happens. And if you don't like what's happening, vote smarter next time.
Do you think that the huge impact of, or excuse me, let me reword that. Do you think that the, no, I'm just kidding. Do you think that the huge amount of comedians, like the population of people who are comedic and have screen time, is helping America become more self-aware?
I'd like it to be. I'd like to honestly think we're not nearly as divisive as all the polls think, or people they say. I haven't really. I mean, we're up here in the corner state and the sticks, but self-awareness is the greatest commodity that you can have as a person. Mm-hmm. Being hyper-aware is. If it's so to the point that it's a weakness, then it's still a strength. Because I would rather be painfully aware than blissfully ignorant. I honestly would.
Beautiful. All right, well, let's wrap this conversation up a little bit.
Jesus.
If you were going to give one opinion on comedy for the people at home who listen to this entire thing and they're the good 58 minutes and 17 seconds into this thing, what would you ask them to walk home knowing? To leave home remembering? Like if you had to remember one point.
Failure will be your greatest teacher.
Just the most like Wikipedia, like in Fitspo Instagram post.
Just be prepared to fail and be honest. Just honesty. Honesty is funny. Honesty is sexy. Honesty is beautiful. Just be honest. And if your honesty is bizarre and abstract and it makes people laugh for a good reason, then you're doing something right. I can't, dude. I would not say I'm an expert on anything, even though you have me on under the guise of some sort of expert.
Yeah, you're on here because you're an authority on a subject, man. That's why that's my one guideline of bringing guests onto this podcast.
And I fooled you.
I know nothing.
I know nothing.
I'm actually a chemist. All right. Well, as I finish my drink, that means that the conversation has ended. Do I eat this lime?
No.
And so it just
you
plunks
can.
at the bottom of it.
It's good.
I'm one of those weirdos that like eat lemon and lime, but I'll say that for after the podcast.
Citrus.
So in order for us to figure out whether or not one stiff drink made you better at being a mixologist, I worded that weird, but this had 4 shots in it, so I'm going to justify it.
Hey, it had like 2.5.
Really?
Ish.
4 Mississippi plus another 7 Mississippi? Or 3 Mississippi? I feel like that's 2, 4, 6.
Just drink some water.
3.5. Yeah, some water. I'm having a craving for Domino's. We need to figure out whether or not, right, one stiff drink made you at mixology. So I still have another 4 ones, but instead of listing the ingredients and telling you how it's made, I'm going to list what I want you to make, and you're going to tell me how it's made. Keep in mind, you went 4 for 4.
I know, and I'm not actually that good of a bartender.
All right.
I get by on personality.
So, did I ask you to make a Sex on the Beach the last time?
You did.
I did. I asked you to make an old fashioned, a White Russian, a Cosmopolitan, and then Tequila Sunrise? No.
Yes.
I didn't ask you how to make a Sex on the Beach.
Oh, hell, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, make a Sex on the Beach.
Either way, bring a towel, because you don't want sand in there. Christ, I can't remember how to make a freaking Sex on the Beach. It's got orange juice and rum in it, right?
Well, no.
Wait.
It's got orange juice.
I got the orange juice, and it's just orange juice and booze.
It says vodka, peach schnapps, orange juice, and cranberry
I
juice.
don't fucking remember.
I don't know. So I got automatically.
I've also
alcohol made you worse.
Alcohol made. See, that's why I don't drink. I also have been lucky to work at a beer bar.
Yeah, I almost
like, I don't know how to drink. I don't know how to make that. Shut up. Say something else.
I almost came on here and I put the ingredients for how to make like a basic beer and was just gonna see if you could memorize it. But it would have been too easy, like hops, yeast. You'd been like, that's beer.
Hop, yeast, and malt.
Let's try
Shit, I failed on Sex on the Beach.
A Moscow Mule, which is pretty much what we just made.
A Moscow Mule is exactly what we just had. So basically, you've got ginger ale or ginger beer, lime, and vodka. Mm-hmm. And if you want to be a capitalistic piece of shit, serve it in a copper cup. I don't get it. Every bell and whistle you can think of, I both get and disagree with.
Alrighty then. Well, because you've already failed, I'll give you an opportunity to redeem yourself.
Okay.
One of these next ones is difficult. I think, knowing nothing.
It's all right.
The first one, which is not that difficult for you, I think, is a Long Island iced tea.
Long Island iced tea? All right. First and foremost, don't order them. They're not good for you. And I judge you immediately. All bartenders judge you immediately. So basically...
Really?
Oh, yeah. Long Island iced tea. It's going to go bad. Or it might go bad. I don't know. But you're basically just having every white alcohol poured into a glass with a little bit of sour and Pepsi on it. That's a Long Island iced tea.
What's the judgment?
What's the judgment?
Just that
you're
just trying to get shit-faced immediately?
That is a drink that is a purely utilitarian drink. That is, I'm getting fucked up as fast as I can.
That's probably why it's the most expensive drink?
There's way more expensive drinks, but I'm saying Long Island iced tea, vodka, rum, Not usually gin, but you can put anything you want in it, really. But it's all the white or the clears, and then a splash of sour mix, and then a splash of Pepsi
All right, yeah, that's what I got.
or cola. Sorry.
Cola is what I have written in my thing.
Yeah.
Thanks Wikipedia.
And you're either a dirtbag or you're 21. There's plenty of other better drinks that are cheaper that'll get you where you need to be, and you don't look like an amateur.
Last one, ready?
Okay.
Sangria Blanca.
Sangria Blanca? Oh, God. Well, there's like 8...
this is the last one.
no. Okay, I'm not going to argue this, but it's a white wine-based sangria, so it can be any sort of... There's so many ways to make a sangria.
I know. I'm looking for you to get 5 of these.
5 of them?
5 of these 9 ingredients.
5 of those 9 ingredients?
Yeah.
Okay, some sort of white wine. Probably vodka. Usually I would go with brandy myself, or some sort of fresh fruit. Probably a little bit of orange juice. God, there's so much shit in a fucking sangria,
that's
dude.
a difficult one. I wanted you to make me if you were going to make me a Sangria Blanca, how would you do it? Let's go do it this way. I think you failed the challenge. Alcohol made you worse at mixology. Tell the people at home how to make a Sangria Blanca. Your favorite, like the way you would make a Sangria Blanca.
The way I would want a Sangria Blanca, I would go to Nocturnum Draft House on Main Street in Bangor, Maine, and I would ask Kayla Patton, the best bartender I've ever known and worked with, to make me one. And she'd look at me and say, Zach, why are you ordering that? And I'm going to say, because Ethan made me feel bad for not knowing what's in, essentially...
All right.
Wine punch.
Let me tell you. So Wikipedia
Wikipedia
said white wine, Spanish sherry, orange liqueur, white grapes, lemon, peaches, honeydew, and club soda.
Oh, fuck you. You got me. You just asked for fruit salad and wine.
Yeah, pretty
with some
much.
triple sec in it.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I did not fail that.
That's my back. That's my
That's
backup.
not a fail.
You still failed the first one.
No, that's
you went 4 for 4.
That's
and 2 for 4.
semantics.
All right. The last question I'm going to ask you before this ends. You have something you want to plug, right? There's a show coming up in December.
Maybe.
I'm going to give you the opportunity, which I don't give a lot of people, so you should feel a little...
You didn't give this to Noel C. Marsh.
No, I didn't give this to Noel C. Marsh. That's right. Previous podcast called Watch Him, 39th U.S. Marshal.
Do not mess with him. He's very intimidating.
He's like 6'7". Tell the people why they should go to your December show.
Okay, so Friday, December 13th at the Bangor Arts Exchange in Bangor, Maine, Her Majesty's Cabaret Holiday Spectacular. It is the first show we've done in over 2.5 years, and why not make your first show back the biggest sumbitch you've ever done? All new sketches, all new video material, completely new show. Not only that, we have musical guests When Particles Collide, the Community Chamber Choir Divisi. We have performances by Robinson Ballet. We're going to be helped out by the Focus Group. I'm telling you.
Tell me, I'm giving them the eyes, tell the people
Sorry.
at home. I'm going.
Do you guys know how cameras work? Great. And it's going to be a laugh. It's going to be a lark. It'll be a great way to laugh away all your pain because, oh my God, there's so much in the world. But we do have to thank a couple of people for this and entities. Pardon me.
Class is optional.
I know, but I was trying to be good. Okay. Thankfully, we've always been super supported by the community. Van Sickle Kia has been awesome to us. Southern Western Communications is being super awesome to us. Ed and Vanessa Viner have been super generous and super nice to us. Northern Oak Media doesn't know the shit they got into, but
That's my company.
But they're helping us. Bangor Arts Exchange itself has been super handy. And then one of our go-to sponsors from the very beginning, they have always been supportive and wonderful of us, the Rock and Art Shop in downtown Bangor, Maine. And I think I just got everybody. And support from viewers like you.
Thank you. All right. Well, remember, on top of being available for your viewing pleasure on YouTube, you can also download the show for free on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Ooh, Jesus. I had 3.5 shots in there. I'm not convinced it was just 2.
Can I get it on Winamp?
Add the Boondock Perspective on Facebook and Instagram for sneak peeks and highlights. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Deuces.